Eleni, thank you very much for coming, for joining the conversation. And before we jump into the details, before we will jump into the topic of environment, diet, how safe and what food safe, and how we can, as parents, probably understand a little bit more on how we can structure the diet and probably even the lifestyle of our family. So we feel ourselves better and we also take care of our environment. But before this, could you please introduce yourself? Because I think you have a very interesting path from being a scientist and now also being a scientist, but you're also doing a family coaching. How come so? It's very interesting. Could you tell a little bit more about that?
Yes, first of all, thank you for the invitation. I'm really glad to be in your channel. My path towards health coaching, yes, it's a kind of an orthodox path, I would say. So I am an environmental chemist. I studied chemistry, a bachelor's of chemistry, and then a master's on environmental chemistry, and then I did my PhD on the bioavailability of heavy metals. So it's a very hardcore environmental chemistry issues. And then I moved to the Netherlands. I left Greece where I did my studies and I moved to the Netherlands and I got pregnant. So when I got pregnant, I decided to take a pause from my research work and my studies, and I decided to start reading around issues that I thought I need to know to raise my child. And then I came across all this information that I felt are not widely known and widely available about how our environment and our diet affects ourselves and our kids. And also I already had some background in sustainability, so I did know how our lifestyle choices affect our future. When you get a child, you worry about the future much more, right? Okay, what is this world where I brought my child into? So this was actually the motivation for me to start getting, educated towards health coaching, and this is what drove me to health coaching nowadays. And the health coaching that I am nowadays doing is actually focused on family coaching, as you said, and it's also focused. I use my scientific background to help people to realize what is the effect of the pollution that our planet has around us to their health. So it is a health coaching focused on environmental health, on planetary health, and on family coaching.
That's very interesting. And I'm wondering, what are the typical requests when do you get when people addressing you? Why are they into it? What is actually bothering them? So could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, the most common request is oh, I need to learn how to raise my child healthily. It's sad to say, but it's really true that 95% of those requests are women. Okay, so it's women are more health conscious. Women are more involved into deciding what they will, how they will raise a child. At least when it comes to healthy diet and exposure to toxic chemicals through personal care products we use, etc. So the most common request is actually a very wide request. How do I live in a healthy lifestyle? And then I would say the second common request, which is something that has come up the last few years to my coaching, is people that come to me because they really care about what is happening to our environment. They see all this disaster around us and they're like, okay, what can I do about that? And I want to say a small story about my past. When I started with health coaching, I was really passionate about promoting a healthy but also sustainable lifestyle, okay, not just a healthy lifestyle. And I came across some business coaches that they were like, don't use the vegan word in your coaching. You're gonna lose customers. Don't use the sustainable word. I mean, people don't wanna know what, the food of them does to the environment. A lot of business coaches actually thought that this was, a professional suicide for me to promote the sustainable also lifestyle. But I thought they were wrong. I thought that people will soon realize what's going on. And now I'm happy that I see more and more clients coming to me because they care. They care about the environment. They want to be healthy. They care about the healthy lifestyle, but they also care about the sustainable lifestyle.
Yeah, and I think that's a great segue to my next question to you is basically how the eating and the diet that we having each day can and is actually affecting the environment, and like why is this important?
To give you a number, our food systems are responsible for about 30% of our total CO2 emissions. So what we eat plays a huge role to our climate crisis. So as we move to more environmental sustainable food, and this would mean that as we move towards a more healthy, whole food, plant-based diet, each person can move according to their pace, right? I mean, I don't suggest that everyone should just become 100% plant-based tomorrow. But as we move our lifestyle choices and our diet choices, we drastically reduce our our CO2 footprint actually. But also it doesn't stop there. The food systems are also responsible for a lot of the pollution we have today. And we are talking today about a triple planetary crisis. So this is the climate change. Most of us have heard about it, know about it. But we also have two more crises going along with the climate change. The second crisis is the pollution crisis. Our planet has already gone beyond the safe limit of planetary boundaries for pollution. And the third crisis is the biodiversity loss. I mean, we lose more and more species every day, and that will have dramatic effects on our health, on our life. In some areas, we are talking about a possible collapse of the ecosystem. Okay, so actually, if you put all these three together, they consist the crisis that I am talking about.
Yeah, I think that's a good summary of why this is why the emergency and why this is important, and what areas we basically bring into this equation of the health and pollution. But also, could you talk a little bit more like, okay, so we're losing the biodiversity, so less species, there is a pollution, there is a climate change, and at the same time, like 30% of the, let's say, CO2 comes from food production. In terms of like plant-based production and meat-based production, what is the effect? Like plant-based is less footprint?
Yeah, so we have some data showing that if you move from a typical Western American diet to a fully plant-based diet, you reduce your emissions more than 80%. So it is really a huge change towards a much more environmentally friendly diet.
And when you say like you go from this, let's say, meat-based diet, are you talking like, for example, if somebody eats meat 5 days per week, let's say, and start to eat meat 2 or 1 day per week, does it already give enough, let's say, change, or it's still
Absolutely. Absolutely, because I say when we have this discussion, we should never forget that diet, what we eat, is sometimes it's not even a choice. We have been raised in certain way. We have been our culture is connected to our food habits, our history. I mean, it's so deep inside our emotions, and changing our habits is so difficult for people, generally for people, but especially for some of us it's even more difficult. We have an emotional connection to food. So what I teach with my what I promote in my coaching is that any step towards forward towards the goal you want is an amazing step. You should celebrate this step. So yes, if you eat meat 5 days per week and you reduce it to 3, you will absolutely have a very big impact on the environment, and you will also have a very big impact to your health.